Now, the rest of the story.
All right, welcome back. It has been brought into my attention that I actually haven't addressed the issues with the 4640 as far as the fact that we got it back together. It was on my Instagram, and for those that actually care to have kind of a forewarning of the YouTube videos that are coming, subscribe to that, and I do actually leave some pretty good, well, depending on my mood, I guess you could say, as far as what will be coming out and as far as future YouTube videos. But I did actually post a video on Instagram the other night of the 4640 running. So I didn't address it, so I guess we're just going to go right ahead now. And if anybody has noticed, the water pump right here is not green anymore. The reason for that is because it's not the one that was in there. The story behind that is the guy that was going to rebuild it for me, it's not that I couldn't have rebuilt it myself, but he actually has a better press for putting the pulley on it. So it was saving me some headache. Plus there was some bartering, I guess you could say. So he called me up about 11 o'clock that night and he said, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm doing pretty good, other than the fact that you called me 11 o'clock at night, and chances are that's probably not going to be a pretty good conversation. And he says, "Well, here's the thing." He says, "I just started working on your pump. I just really got going, clean it off." And he says, "You got problems." And I'll show you guys the problems, because we brought the pump home. And those problems ended up resulting in us going with the new pump. This really didn't set us back that far. I think it was about $100 more than the rebuild kit. We went with the rebuild kit just because we were trying to save some money, but whatever, what can you do? At least we know now that this is set to run for the foreseeable future. We put new lines on it, both of these radiator lines, below and above. We got a new hose here. We went through and we sealed everything up with the gasket. Well, it's called gasket maker, but we sealed everything up properly because hopefully we don't have to do this again. I don't know if you guys can see very much more on the other side, other than the fact I did find I had two different welds I had to do to this, and I did touch them up with paint already, but I had a little bit of a fracture here that was actually coming across. So I ended up taking the torch. That's something I actually started doing since college. It's a type of brazing, I think is what they call it, but all it is instead of actually adding braze or using your welder or the wire welder or the arc or anything, all I do is, because of the type of metal that is here, it's flat steel and everything, it's not very thick. So what I ended up doing is I took the wire wheel and I cheated a little bit. I took the actual torch and I actually burned back a bunch of this paint and everything, so it was pretty well clean and clear of any residue or any foreign matter. And then all I did was take the torch and I actually just heated up both sides on that crack that we had, and I just kind of welded it back together. I melted it back together. Now when the steel isn't that thick, it really isn't that big of an issue. And I think that'll hold for the foreseeable future. So everything's new there that you can see. Dad and Ryan, and I'm really glad they did it because I didn't think much of it, but Dad and Ryan went through and actually painted this black. It was green, and it kind of breaks up some of the color around the engine. I actually meant to go through and paint the fan black, but didn't take the time to, and I had to clean it off a little bit better than I did, and it was kind of one of those things where I was bouncing back and forth between field work and trying to work on stuff in the shed, and this fix was literally a blue sky and beautiful day out when we finally went ahead and did it, and really didn't want to, but it was one of those things where we had to get it back together to make sure that we didn't have any hidden demons. Now, at this point, it would have been wrong parts from the parts guy, but that was not the fact, not the case. Everything went back together just fine. Alternator is brand new. Again, the belts, the air conditioning belt, all that is good. We replaced these rubber bushings that connect the hydraulic pump, the rest of the motor. Somebody did make the mention that we should check those to make sure that those are good. Those were bad, and we were already planning on replacing them anyway. Just because when you do a job like this, and I just found a bolt that isn't tightened, son of a gun. So, see, it helps to stand here and talk to you guys, because what it does, it allows me to look everything over. Nothing huge, because this is already tight. This is tight, but see this guy right there? I can't move it by hand or anything, but I can definitely tell that that lock nut, or lock washer, I think you guys can see it is moving. So I'm gonna go get a wrench and tighten that up as soon as this video is done. And while I do that, I think I'm gonna take you guys up and show you the old pump as to why we end up going with this route. We did end up going with a different pulley, and this piece right here that the belts are running on, this is actually pressed onto the water pump. That is the part that we were waiting on for so long, because I think some people were kind of surprised that we were willing to wait that long for parts. Well, the weather, it did kind of come back and bite me, because I really wasn't planning on putting the 82 on the chisel plow, but weather straightened out and allowed us to go ahead and work on the last of that tillage. And as far as being in a mood to really kick the can down the road when we could go out and work ground up, I was gonna go work ground up. So, this is the old pump. I got it sitting here on the bench. If I can, this thing is super handy. And when it was sent to me, it wasn't really meant to be a flashlight, or a mountable flashlight like it is, because it's got the camera and everything on it. But it's amazing what farmers can find for different things. This is the old pump, and anybody that is really good with mechanics or anything like that, tech savvy, is probably able to see, unless I can get the right light on it. There you go. I think you guys can see why my friend called me and told me, hey, we got a problem with your pump. We got a fracture here, crack that is going, starts up here, and you guys can see it goes all the way, and it actually ends right there. Now at the time, you gotta remember this was 11 o'clock at night, so for him too when he was working on this, but he said that it's not that bad. He's like, it's not all the way through it, but he says it's gonna fail, and anybody that sees this, you wouldn't put this back in your machine. But he's just like, it's fixing to fail, and he's like, for how bad the pump is as it is, but he's like, we got lucky up to this point. But he's like, it was getting ready to fail in a spectacular way if that would have been left unchecked. And what I'm looking at, I think you guys can see it, this crack actually does go through all the way through this pump. It's right here, and I don't know if my camera, I can't tell if my camera's picking it up or not, but clear as day, I can see that crack is at the tip of my thumb, and it goes all the way, and it ends right there. So this whole upper piece was gonna have a crack all the way through it here, the longer we ran it. And the reason our pump got as bad as it got, because, I mean, everybody saw the wobble that it had on it. It didn't show the signs of that bearing being out, because there is a weep hole on this somewhere. I haven't actually taken the time to look for it. It should be right here. But it's full of dirt and crud. It's actually a drain hole for the coolant to drain out when it starts to leak, and it didn't start leaking until this spring. The second day, like you guys have heard me say, that is when we had the first indications that something was wrong with this tractor. But it's money. In the end, it's money. It's not the end of the world. It is fixed. It's gonna last for probably another 8,000 hours. That's how many hours are approximately on that 4640 now. But both the tractors bit us this spring. The only thing that's been running pretty reliably, there's Ryan, has been the 4020, which is behind the 76, and the 7600. But they both have some underlying issues that we do need to address too. It's just that the 82 and the 46 required immediate attention. So, yeah, really not impressed by it. But to be honest with you, I'm really not all that surprised either. So, yeehaw, life on the farm, guys. Working on a little bit of everything around here right now. And with that, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Take care. Take it easy. Keep in touch. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow night.